Good morning, brothers. BGS back again with a morning talk. So no matter where you are, what time you listen to this is actually me getting up in the morning. I was thinking about all the stuff that's going on and the spread of the black manosphere version of the red pill is being replicated like all over the internet. So it's not just the manosphere talking these things in our circles. It's actually gone beyond that. You know, there's obvious people that we know because people say his name too much. But there's one person who's blowing up and spreading the gospel, red pill gospel, so to speak, of the black manosphere. And then you hear other content creators that haven't been associated with the red pill or the black manosphere actually using the same talking points that we use. Like I was listening to something that Dr. Johnson put up. I think his name was Ryan Davis. That's what his name. Comedian. Okay, he's talking about he was a homosexual. Now, anybody that knows what homosexual is and knows what it means, is something that was coined collectively. I don't know exactly who came up with it first. I know I was using it, but I don't know if I do believe I got it from somebody else, but I can't remember exactly where it came from. So if the person that originated the saying knows who he is and he hears this, shout yourself out. But Ryan Davis, I think it was Ryan Davis, is actually a comedian, and he was actually on Vlad, and this is a couple years ago, and he called himself a homosexual, or what he used to be a homosexual when he quit his job and his wife was taking care of him while he was trying to get his career off the ground. He called himself a homosexual, which is obviously a black manosphere talking point, or one of our inside jokes of the black manosphere. And I do believe that thing was recorded in 2018, but Dr. Johnson just put it back out. And a lot of these terms are being used and thrown around like it's the modern vernacular. It's almost like gangster rap in NWA in 1990 when rap and hip hop and gangster rap all went mainstream and went to the stratosphere. It cracked through and became a major force, not only in the United States, but the world. So I think we're kind of starting to look at that moment, that same moment, like in the early 90s, late 80s, where the ceiling was just starting to be broken and cracked, and people are starting to leak through or get through it. You know, the old artists couldn't quite follow them, but the new artist was actually taking the message and actually going forward and spreading it. So not that we've accomplished everything that we need to accomplish for black men and boys, because we haven't. We're just getting started. But phase one has already reached critical mass, in my opinion, to where the talking points, the vernacular, the message that we've talked about is actually becoming mainstream. So the original, like I said, the original gender war, what we were asking for, what we really wanted from our women, from our black women, okay, that I do believe that's over. Okay, if you listen to the Gen Z, right, not the Gen X or the boomers, because as far as the boomers and the Gen Xers, even some of the older millennials, okay, we're phasing out, we're aging out of the sexual marketplace. We are. If you're in your 40s, the prime time for the sexual marketplace is probably pretty much over. And it's time for the younger millennials and the Zs who are just coming into their prime as far as sexual access and mating. They're just coming into it. I think the oldest Zs are like 23. So they're just coming onto the market. And they've already digested what we've been telling them. They've already heard the message, whether they've listened to us or not. They've already heard the message. They're already acting accordingly. So whatever battle that we were fighting, whatever the battle that black women are fighting, that's over. Okay, the Z's have already decided. So what black women want, what black women need, what black women's opinions are as far as in relationship to black men is probably pretty close to being irrelevant right now. Their demands is probably pretty much irrelevant. Okay, they have one shot. They have one shot to hold their position, and that's to do right by their men. That's the only shot that they have. And at this point, black men are willing to suffer another decade because it's been 200 years and 10 more years is not going to do us that much harm. So in other words, the next 10 years, if black women don't get their shit together, older black women, I'm not even talking about younger black women, the older black women don't get their shit together and do what they're supposed to do, guess what's going to happen? The people are going to blend. Okay, admixture will take over. And their daughters and their granddaughters are going to suffer. They're already suffering. They're already not preferred. They're reduced to selling sex and being whores on TV. That's how far the black female image has fallen, and they celebrate it. They actually celebrate it. It's not black male money that's pumping these women up. It's not black male money that's pumping people like Lizzo up. Lizzo is just the 300-pound version, 400-pound version of what that's coochie. It's all the same thing. The thing is that black women have embraced it. In other words, they have decided that being concubines is where it's at. Being concubines is the image that they want to portray. And normally that is the last stop. That is really the last handle on the ladder. Okay, that's as far as your status can't descend anymore. I was listening to David Graeber, and he was talking about women's status as far as economics and money and stuff like that. And David Graeber was saying that in the ancient world, a prostitute status was lower than that of a slave girl. So I guess it's come full circle. Black woman's status was back what it was when they first got here, which is concubine. But the difference is they've embraced it. They've embraced the concubine ideology. They fought it when they got here. They didn't want to be master's concubine. They didn't want to be birthing babies, be a walking womb. But now they've reduced themselves to walking wombs. And that's, as they call it, that's their dependence. That's their independence, I should say. So the black manosphere, all we really wanted to do is protect our reputation. People can say whatever they want, that the black manosphere stood for this, that, or the other. And they were trying to do this, that, the other. But guess what? 90% of what they talked about, 90% of the stuff that I can recover had nothing to do with any of that. 90% of what I heard, and trust and believe, I used to hear some of the stuff back in 2009. I wasn't in the space. I used to listen to this stuff on Blog Talk, and all it was about, going back and forth, is basically about the black male image. In fact, it was about the black male image before the manosphere on YouTube. And I'm glad O'Shea kind of cleared that up, that the name or the idea of black manosphere didn't exist before 2015. It didn't. Now we retroactively given a name to what went on before 2015, but the black manosphere didn't exist before 2015. The flag wasn't planted until 2015. But I'm glad that's cleared up. But the original objective of, say, 1.0, even the original objective of 2.0, if you talk to Obsidian, what was it? To start the discussion, have these ideas out in mainstreams where they can be discussed, and for the black women to come back to the table. All those objectives have been reached and surpassed. Are black women on their knees? No, that's probably not going to happen. But if we wait around long enough and the automation does its job the way COVID has done its job, I think that's a possibility. Because I'm hearing a lot more humble black chicks. I'm hearing a lot more humble black women. Because that light at the end of the tunnel that they were looking at, that's a train. And now they hear the horn and they hear the whistle and they hear the rumble down the tracks. They know it's a train. And now they got to find refuge before they get run over. But I do believe critical mass has been reached. I think critical mass probably has been exceeded. And I think for as far as the dating world, especially for the younger groups of men, where the seeds of the dating world for black men and women are, which is within the younger millennials and the Zs. Actually, the younger millennials are coming to the decision point because they're getting close to 30. In fact, a lot of them have already made decisions. I know my son has. My son doesn't date black women. And a lot of his friends don't date black women. But we're in California. But I hear a lot of younger millennials say they're done. I hear a lot of Z says they're not even considering it. So as far as that battle is concerned, that battle is over. Our battle against black women is probably over. In fact, I've said that war is over because black women probably going forward. In fact, it's probably been that way. Going back 3 to 4 years, the thing is, it wasn't obvious because nobody was looking. This gender strife between ADOS black men and ADOS black women is over, been over. And COVID has just exposed it. Instead of them being the only choice, supposedly the only choice for black men, they're just one of many. And because of demographics and the United States needing to stabilize its population, they have to bring other outside people in to stabilize the population. Most of those people will be women and children. It's going to water down the pool even more. They need women that will have babies. The modern American black women and white women aren't. And the state, which has dovetailed on the SYSBM movement and the Black Manosphere, it dovetailed on it. Guess what they're pushing? Interracial marriage, interracial coupling. So as far as the mating strife between black men and women have gone on, that's over. Black women have lost, and they know they've lost this battle. That's how come they're into politics. That's their only refuge right now. Now they have to be valuable enough to actually keep black men around, or for black men to even choose them, because we've been with them and they've driven us into a ditch. They've used the state, taken hold of the family, of the black community, and driven it into a ditch. And all black men have done is got out of the car and said, I'd rather walk, I'd rather hitchhike and catch a ride with somebody else. That's what you see happening. So we've been looking for critical mass. Critical mass has been there for quite some time. And I was talking to a sub that says this hasn't changed, that hasn't changed, and feminism is still around. And the Black Manosphere hasn't, been around 8 years and they haven't done anything. And I said, son, you need to go read a book. Feminism actually started in the 17th century. In the 18th century, in the factories, in the looms, where women, not black women, women started working first. Black women have always had independence. Black women have never been patriarchally tied to their ever. Black women have always been preferred by the dominant society, and the money has always gone through them. And black men have been appendages onto the black family. Don't believe me? Go back and look, man. Go read a book. I don't even want to hear it. People are going to say, well, BG has to disagree with. If you ain't read no books and you don't have no proof, you don't have no sources, man, don't even argue. I'm getting tired of arguing with people that won't even have the inspiration, I should say, the actual umption to actually get up and actually study this stuff. Actually read a freaking book, man. I just read about 5, 6 in a row. And it was within the last month and a half. I just read about 6 books. And I'm not banging them out like a scholar, but I've read about 6 books. You guys won't even read one. So don't come up telling me that you disagree with me about one thing or another and you don't have no sources or books, okay? Or you have no idea about history. Now I was telling the guy, 8 years is nothing. I said civil rights started in 1865, and it wasn't even, you didn't get your first taste of civil rights until 1965, 100 years later. 8 years is nothing. And 8 years is nothing, especially when you have a small group of people in the Black Manosphere as a seed. They didn't even have time to grow or marinate. But the thing is, basically, just like MGTOW, the Black Manosphere is not a seed, it's a match. And every place there's dry brush, every place there's a problem that men are having, that match will get struck. When that match gets struck, the fire is going to burn. And when the fire burns, light is emitted. So a lot of black men are seeing the light. And a lot of black men lie, okay? A lot of black men listen to this stuff. They're actually consuming this language, consuming these ideas and embracing them. And what? Lying in their public life because they're afraid to lose their position. They're afraid to lose their marriage. And I don't blame them. So they'll get on, or they'll get in public and they'll sing the praises like a simp of black women so they can continue doing what they're doing without any interruption, even though they embrace the ideas that we talk about. Look at Derrick Jackson. You think Derrick Jackson ain't red pill in his personal life? We've already found that out to be true. Derrick Jackson is not a blue pill simp. Never has been. Derek Jackson agrees with us far more than he puts on. And everybody knows it. Even the women know it now. Derek Jackson is no different from the rest of us. So all those cats coming on simping, they know that we're talking the truth. So all the other guys out there trying to kill the Manosphere, trying to sully the Manosphere's name, trying to kill the message because you don't like it, it's too late. Okay? It's too late. It already got out. Just like in Wuhan. Okay? Shut down the city, shut down the lab. It's too late. It's already out. It's already spreading. You can holler and scream and talk your shit, but it's already out. It's too late. You're wasting your time, but it's your time to waste. You can go ahead and mark it down in the book that I spoke out against it, just like the Republicans do when they know that a bill's going to pass, but they got to say something because they want it down in the book that I fought against it. And I had the dissenting opinion, as they say in the Supreme Court. But at the end of the day, dissenting opinions are just dissenting opinions. Maybe in the future somebody can use them, but for right now, they don't mean anything because guess what? The majority opinion is going to go for it. And that's what you're going to see on both sides of the aisle. So one thing about it, you can say that the Black Manosphere is fighting, right? So-called liberals or progressives versus the conservatives. But 90% of what the red pill and the Black Manosphere espouses, they agree upon. And that's what's not looked at. And sometimes I think the brothers going back and forth and fighting need to realize, you know, you didn't get in this to make money. At least most people didn't. You got in this because you believed that a problem needed to be solved and black man's name and reputation and their message needed to get out and become mainstream to at least be heard. And I say that's critical mass has already happened and it's continuing. Once the prison gates are breached, the prisoners will jump through the wall. They'll follow each other to freedom or whatever they think freedom is. And that's already happening. So, before the ramble gets way too long, hopefully I have the energy to get other things out. Other things are probably coming. I just saw an idea in David Graeber's book that I actually want to explore. It's only about a paragraph, but it's very interesting and it's very apropos to black women. And I want to put the name out there and I want to put the idea out there and see if people agree, because when I heard it, I started laughing. And then as I thought about it, I laughed even more. And it's something, when you'll hear it, you'll get what I'm saying. So I'm not going to spoil it for you. But with that, I'm going to jump off here. This is BGS out. I'll see you guys on the next.